Okay, now we're going to move on to Tuesday, August 11th, Home and Away UK. There's a lot to unpack, mostly about David again, but quickly, Dana won the fishing trip for the fundraiser to go fishing with Alf. She doesn't want to go, so she tries to get out of it, but then feels guilty because Alf was pretty excited. They end up going fishing. They have a great time. So they were both like really happy they went. So that's that. So last episode ended with the therapist asking David, like, do you feel the same way about Amelia? David's like, I don't know how I feel. And then he starts showing the therapist pictures of Christine and the family and like, you know, family vacations. And, you know, he's like, I don't want to forget my wife. The therapist is like, I don't want you to forget your wife, but this is the past. Like, these pictures is the past. You know, what would Christine want? And David starts yelling. She would want to be alive. She would want to be living in this house with us. She would want to watch her daughters get married and become a grandma and, you know, die when she was supposed to die, like an old lady and, you know, whatever. So, then he goes on to tell the therapist, like, me and Amelia are just friends. We're just friends. I don't want to feel anything. You know, what would I tell my girls? You know, no one will replace my wife. And the therapist is like, no one's telling you to replace her, dude. And then David says, oh, if I started a relationship with Amelia, I would be breaking my vows. I would feel so guilty. And the therapist is like, till death do you part. Like, there is no vow breakage here. So, the therapist ends up telling him, like, you brought me here to talk about Amelia, but then every time I try to talk about it, you change the subject. So just give yourself a chance to look at the future. I'm not asking you to do anything, just look. So meanwhile, Lacey and Leah are talking. Lacey, I don't want anyone to forget my mom. And Leah's like, just an FYI, I told Amelia to back off. And Lacey's like, good. And then Leah's like, but get prepared. Like, your dad can't, like, be in this mourning state forever. So I guess she thought about stuff. Her and Lacey and Leah talked for a while. And anyway, it ended with Lacey going to her dad, David, and she says, like, listen, don't worry about me and Joe. We just, you know, you just need to do what makes you happy. It was kind of like giving her permission to move on. And it was also showing him that they weren't going to stop him. You know, like, nobody's being selfish here, which I thought was really nice. So it was a good 2 episodes. I really liked it. I want David and Amelia to get together. I think he deserves happiness. So that's my recap. Bye.